Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of Uncancel Culture Podcast, the
Uncancel Culture Podcast. Yes.
Your host, Christina.
And also Shahem.
We're back. This is fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode. And the backstory on me.
Yeah, that was really good. I really appreciated the vulnerability.
It felt very therapeutic to kind of like, I'm gonna take this on the road. Maybe not. They might.
As a fake therapist, I co-signed that message.
I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, this is going to be, we're going to get into your story next. But we could do our first segment, the questions from the culture.
Yes. So for today's question from the culture, because we're still waiting on some submissions, like we said, you can submit at our email, theuncancelculture@gmail.com. That is where you're going to be able to submit your questions for the culture. And we will be excited to engage what y'all think, what type of questions y'all have for us. And today, because of our last episode, we're going to be focusing on what it means to be forgiving.
Right.
Like, how do you forgive other people when they make mistakes? How do we forgive each other? How do we move forward? And we think that this is an important question for the culture, just so we can establish some of the aims that we have as a podcast.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Woo-wee. That's been a big one ever since. So my master's thesis, I had to touch on restorative justice, or I touched on all the forms of justice, and had a case study. And when I was learning about restorative justice, I realized, I ain't there yet fully. I'm not there yet fully. I'm like, I don't know if society, what my thesis had shown was society isn't supporting. Society's not there for restorative justice. And that's a huge part of restorative justice. So I think because I realized I wasn't there yet, for me, it's how do I try to at least recreate that in my smaller communities, because I think the personal is political and the political is personal. So let me make it personal. And realizing the imperfect nature of everybody. And if I believe everyone's indoctrinated, I'm gonna be shocked when someone acts indoctrinated. What?
Wow, they made a mistake. Let's throw them off a bridge.
So, right? I think prioritizing, I just try to take some of those tenets that I feel like I have the capacity for from restorative justice. Let's name the harm done. Let's talk to the person who feels harmed, the person who caused the harm. Look at the action, look at the kind of the behavior, and not villainize the being, the being a person doesn't embody the behavior or action. And obviously, I feel like we always have to make this disclaimer, not talking about evil, harmful abusers who systemically abuse, we're talking about in a very...
My hope is that one day with this podcast, people will stop feeling the need to make 1,000,003 disclaimers, because people don't assume that somebody is saying something negative,
Can critically think. Yeah. But I made that one. But yeah, just kind of dissecting the behavior, the action, and making it, hopefully getting to the point where a person can acknowledge that harm is done, and then what it looks like to move forward. Yeah, that's my...
Yeah, I think that's really good.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
It's really hard.
What about you?
And I think it's important to acknowledge that it's a hard and difficult question and topic to grapple with.
Right.
I, as a therapist, talk about forgiveness.
You're a therapist?
Yes.
What?
According to the state of New York, yes. According to social media, sometimes no.
Okay.
They don't know whether which one it is. But I talk about forgiveness a lot. In fact, even on my platforms, I talk about forgiveness a lot. Actually, some of my more viral posts are about my takes and stances on forgiveness. But before I even get into how I feel about it, I think it's important to say what people are going to, I'm going to address a few things. One, nobody, me talking about disclaimers and I turn around.
Right, look.
One, yes, nobody is entitled to your forgiveness. You do not have to forgive anybody. If you do not wish to forgive anybody, you do not have to participate in the forgiveness process with anybody you don't wish to do that with. You are not forced, in no way should be forced, to have to deal with somebody who you wish not to be in community with or to align with. That is your right to choose. I'm not taking that away from what I feel. Okay. I also want to note Like, I personally do not believe that you have to forgive in order to move on from a situation. I believe forgiveness is a loaded term for several reasons. And like, I will talk about weaponized forgiveness in a second. You give me a minute, I'm gonna come right back to that. But I do believe like it's not necessary to forgive because you can just accept a situation for what it is and you can move forward with knowing what happened or that you don't align with somebody and that there is a life outside of that. That is grief and grieving. Okay. But weaponized forgiveness, right? Talking about grief and grieving. When people jump to forgiveness, it is dangerous because it can like take away the process of being angry, right? Angering is a part of grief and grieving. Like placing blame where it needs to be placed is a part of grief and grieving. So being able to acknowledge harm, okay, is part of the whole forgiveness process. So you cannot jump straight to forgiveness. And I think so many people are scarred through dealing with things like religion. I'll be honest, like the Christian religion has done a number on so many people. And this is no shade. If you're Christian, shouts out to you. I love Jesus too. But I do believe that Christianity as a culture has like done a lot of damage to people when it comes to forgiveness because a lot of people carry around a lot of religious trauma. How many of us can tell stories of the uncle or the cousin or that family member or that family friend that did the inappropriate thing, but it's still allowed around because people like are going to tell you that you need to forgive and move on? How many of us have had our valid experiences, traumas dismissed because we were told that we had to forgive and move on for the sake of ourselves and if nothing else? I believe forgiveness is a loaded term. I'm starting there. And I like to practice as much as I can radical forgiveness because I do believe that forgiveness is in many ways like something that should be practiced when it is applicable. I don't believe every situation is forgivable, but I do believe like a lot more are forgivable than what we give credit to and air and space to, right? Last week on your episode, you talked about how you said bullet bags in defense of yourself in the midst of so many threats and so much harassment.
Indeed.
Could you imagine me like taking that and holding that over you for the rest of your fucking life? A moment that lasts over this
one mind,
a moment. I refuse to hold anybody to that standard because I think it's frankly dehumanizing because it does not leave space for humanity. And that is how I feel about it, which is why I think I'm personally capable of forgiving people. And you brought up something that I thought was really interesting. Like, should people who have done like things that have harmed other people be stripped from community? Do they change like that?
Right.
Do they grow? Do they get the opportunity? And
I also think that this brings in something I've been thinking about recently is they might not be the community for you.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that they might not deserve community though. Like there's a lot of people I don't fucking want in my community.
Yeah.
And if you have your community over there and like that is where you're growing and that is where you're being a better person or you can vibe or you listen to them people, have them people. It ain't me, baby. It ain't me, but you can still have it. And that's vice versa, right? It's like I'll have people in my community that I'm like, I mesh with them in a way or we click in a way or we can communicate in a way or hold each other accountable in a way where it's like maybe you don't and that's okay also. Like realizing, having community doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's in community together and all communities operate the same has been something very recently that I'm like, damn, I gotta accept that. Okay.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that that person is a terrible, negative, bad person. Like I might have just had a bad, negative experience with them.
Yeah.
Or we don't mesh.
I mean, even feeding off of that a little bit, like I think it's important to acknowledge that like sometimes, and it's just the reality, sometimes you just not gonna fuck with people. And I think where carcerality comes into play is like when you feel like you have to get other people to not fuck with that person too.
Right.
And I think if you don't, carcerality, y'all, we're gonna break down. When you participate in like the idea that people need to be punished, disappeared, or fucking hurt just for making mistakes, like I think that shit is fucked up and it's tired and it's played. And that's exactly why, not exactly why, but it's part of why we're in the shit show we're in. And that is a byproduct of white supremacy. It's very paternalistic and I don't support that bullshit. And I will say, I do think it's important that people go to communities that hold them accountable. One of the problems that we also face like often in society is that people want to be surrounded by people who don't hold them accountable.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons why I love the friends and the loved ones I have now is because they will swiftly sit my ass down and say that was wrong.
Right.
A lot of us don't want to hear that. And a lot of people aren't remorseful for the shit that they do that hurts other people. And I personally, I agree. I'm not going to apologize unless I mean it.
I'm not.
But I do believe like forgiveness can't start until somebody is showing and expressing remorse. So, but then where's the line with that? Because it's like, does a person have to bend over backwards to perform that for you?
Ooh.
It's so many layers.
Performing forgiveness, performing accountability, performing apologies, which is why I don't agree. I'm not apologizing if I don't mean it because I'm not performing it.
Yeah.
You wanted to mean it. That's a good question, really. Yeah. That's really segued.
We have a lot of topics to cover, and trust me, we will be tackling all of this throughout this entire podcast. We got time, y'all. We got time.
Potentially with other people.
Yes. I can't wait to get to that part. I can't wait
to get somebody in the middle. So.
Yeah, so we might have a lot of guests on this podcast. Yeah. Just like keep your eye out and wait.
Because y'all be canceling people, so that's what
it's too many to choose from, frankly.
Right? I'm Rolodex.
I think y'all done canceled my goddamn mailman last week.
Please.
At this point. Like, I don't know. I might get them more here next. But
I'm crying.
Yeah.
So our next segment is the hot seat. And if you remember correctly, the hot seat is the largest segment of the podcast where we discuss topics, things, ideology, situations, and sometimes people that have been canceled or had controversies, or could be something that could get us canceled, right? It's a very kind of open, open segment of whatever kind of fits in. But for this week, last week, y'all heard my little story with cancel culture, my big one at least, and my thoughts on it. And this week it will be Shahem in the hot seat.
Oh my God.
The therapist, not therapist, who's therapizing
they don't
with
know what
pseudo-psychology.
They don't know. I don't look at some.
You know who you are.
I do. Sometimes I'll be like, damn, if I was who these people said I was, I don't know how I would be able to look in the mirror.
Hello.
Okay. But I will say I have been on the internet for a long time. So I started like my social media presence in 2014, and this is going to be for the people who the throwback like Shahem supporters, like people who really was there from the very beginning. You're gonna know I started off as petty black boy.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. I was petty black boy on Tumblr. That transferred over to Twitter. I was petty black boy, then I was petty Negro, then I was briefly Marsha McClanahan. Yes, the white lady, that was me.
That was you?
Yes, I was so many identities online. And then I finally was just like, I'm going to just be Shahem. I like that. Like,
five.
Yeah, I started using social media, like a presence on social media in college, like first year of undergrad, freshman year. And that transformed, actually sophomore year of undergrad.
Okay.
And it just has taken on so many transformations and transfigurations. I have gone through college, grad school, moves because I'm from Baltimore originally.
Down the hill.
Down the hill.
You can't say you from Baltimore without saying down the hill. I associate that
down the hill.
In your,
that's my hood. I very much so love my hood. Shouts out to down the hill. Okay. So I've been through so many transformations. So, and one thing I hope that my story can speak to is the complexity of like growing up and changing on the internet. And I think our generation is like the first generation that is seeing the first wave of that. But God bless Gen Z, because they really getting the whole brunt of it. Like having to grow up and change who you are as a person, your ideologies, your stances, getting the experience of life on the stage where thousands of people are watching you at a time. It is
millions.
And
when you get it like that, no.
It is nerve-wracking. I'm gonna be honest with you. But I am gonna just do like the tale of many do-rags, which is like the sagas, because I have been canceled a multitude of times. And frankly, every demographic of people you can name thinks that I hate them. I've been accused of hating Black men, Black women, Black dogs, and cats. I've been accused of hating lesbians. That one's strange to me. I've been accused of hating gays. I've been
Being one?
Yes, yes. Non-binaries, although I am also non-binary. I've been accused of pretty much hating. Damn, I would think that I hated my mama too. She do get on my nerves, so shouts out to you, Mom. But I think my first big experience with cancellation, and I'm gonna be honest, this story is really touchy for me because this was my first time learning the very hard way that people were waiting for an opportunity to pretty much rip me to shreds. Like, this was my first time really experiencing it. And I will say, like, I have in many ways participated in this culture. And this was like my first check with reality. Like, oh, this is how this feels. So I'm gonna make it very clear. I'm in no way, shape, or form perfect. I'm not in nobody. I don't think I'm nobody's victim. I think I'm just somebody who had to learn some lessons the very hard way. So I'm going to say a name, and it's going to sound very scary to all of us. So just bear with me when I say it. If you know, you know. If you don't, I'm going to explain. Emo Black Thought.
Oh, no!
Yes, Emo Black Thought. Oh, my God. So
get into it.
If you're not familiar, Emo Black Thought is this like very big, and that was like actually one of the markers in a huge shift that happened in internet culture. But Emo Black Thought is this really big Twitter account that pretty much like was masquerading or for what all of us thought was a Black woman. I'm going to tell you how I came to know Emo Black Thought. When I was in college, I'm a first-generation college student. I was first-generation college graduate now. But I was the first in my family to go to college. I'm from the hood, obviously. So, like, I didn't have any financial supports. I was really, like, getting it out the mud. And in my senior year of college, I was commuting back and forth from home to school. And I got into a car accident. And the car accident, like, it had the potential of stopping me from being able to graduate because I didn't have any other way to get back and forth to school. Senior year of college, which was a mess. I was even couch surfing at some point. But the whole point being, when I did a GoFundMe to raise funds for me to for me to be able to get back and forth to school, Emo Black Thought and I had connected because they had shared my GoFundMe. Because my platform I had a platform of sorts, but it wasn't by any stretch of the imagination big. Like I had like maybe 15,000 followers at the time, I think. And like Emo Black Thought, who had over 150,000, if I remember, followers, like boosted it and it was shared. And not only was my goal met, it was exceeded. So I naturally was like, this person has like really, I didn't know who it was behind the account. I just knew that this person had like helped me to like raise the money I needed to finish school. Okay, so that's first. Fast forward to 2019, I see like this person like making these very depressive tweets. Mind you, I don't know who this is, but this is somebody who helped me. So I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, how can I help? Like, I think at this point I had moved to New York. Like, I had graduated. Not only had I graduated, I had worked in Baltimore for a little bit, and then I had moved to New York. I had made the move to New York. I'm like seeing these depressive tweets of them saying, oh, like, I'm scared of revealing who I am, like stuff like that. I'm like, da-da-da-da. Like, they are making the most depressive tweets ever. So I reach out to them like, hey, like, I'm just letting you know I'm here to support. Like, this is somebody who helped me, just a reminder. So I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, I'm scared to show you like what's up or who I am because I'm scared of what it's going to mean. I'm like, okay, tell me what's up. They're like, okay, can I text you? I send them my number, and they wind up shooting me a text message and they show me who they are. Then we eventually get on the phone and they are telling me their entire story, or what I thought was their story. Let me start with that. They tell me his name is Isaiah, mind you. He revealed that he was a man. Not only a man, but he was a light-skinned man who was kind of parading as a dark-skinned woman. Like he even had tweets talking about having endometriosis, right? Like, which, yes, yes,
not the method acting.
Yes,
why are we?
Yes, endometriosis. Yes, it was a mess. But I'm like, oh my God, like, why were you not public about, I'm asking my questions. I'm like, why weren't you public about this to begin with? He says he is bisexual. He revealed that he was bisexual on the account. Once he came forward publicly about who he was, he would be revealing not only to the world, but to his mother, who he already had like his like dicey relationship with, that he was bisexual. Mm-hmm. So he would be coming out. Anybody, look, I know how y'all feel, but we all know when somebody outs somebody, it is not, you are getting, I think he was like 21. He was on the younger side, because this is back when I was 23. Mind you, I'm 30 now. So this was years ago. But he's like, oh my God, where was I?
I don't want to come out because
he would be revealing himself as bisexual, not only to the world but to his mom. And I'm like, okay, I definitely don't support in outing people. But then he also had sent me this news article where he was like basically racially not profiled, but he was racially like attacked at his school. Like he was a part of an organization, and these white boys from this white fraternity were threatening to lynch him and stuff like that. So he said that he came online to literally with the guise of being a Black woman, which he obviously was not, because he did not want anybody to know it was him. So he did not get harassed. And I'm just eating this shit up. I'm not going to lie to you. I was a little naive back then. Okay. But and this is a really important part of the story too, because what I also asked him was I said, you didn't receive any donations though, right? Like he said, no, I did not receive any donations from this account, because naturally it's one thing to just be hiding your identity, right? Then it's another thing to be using the identity of like a Black woman to get donations and money from an audience, which is like likely to be primarily Black women, because you're parading as a Black woman. He says no. I'm like, okay, well that changes things. Like you are, He lets me know that he let a lot of other people know. I will not say their names because I don't need them to be wrapped up in the drama. But people who he let know. And I mean, a long list of people who he let know.
You know.
Yeah, and like shouts out to those people. They kind of threw me under the bus, or they didn't throw me under the bus, but they let me get the heat for what they also supported, because I know a lot more people than what supported it. Okay, but that's a longer story for another day, and that don't need to be brought to the light because it is what it is. But then it comes to this idea of like how he's gonna reveal himself,
right?
Y'all, and I promise you, with everything I have in love, I told this boy, I said, you need to write a notes app, a notes app apology, and you need to just reveal it that way. He's like, no. He wanted to do a grand reveal, which is why he eventually landed the whole paper magazine shoot.
Oh no!
Yes, and I said that was a bad idea. I said it was a bad idea.
It's giving drama.
He moved forward with it anyway. And I will note, he was also friends with Lil Nas X. I'm only saying that name because that's public information.
Right.
He was friends with Lil Nas X. Lil Nas X is somebody who he helped to boost with his platform, and he witnessed basically Lil Nas X go from like a Twitter user to this celebrity overnight. Shouts out to Lil Nas X. Love you down, Bookie, if you're watching this. But he saw that's no shade. He saw Lil Nas X go from like a Twitter user to this overnight sensation. And I think he just wanted parts, if you want me to be honest. And with that, he wanted to do this big reveal. I said it was a bad idea. He did it anyway. I even made, and I'm gonna own my shit, I had made a tweet leading up to it, y'all are gonna gag, something along these lines. I'm only speaking in how I speak now, but I said something basically y'all are gonna gag when y'all see who it is. I'm egging it up.
What's the timeline from when you found out when he?
So I found out maybe I want to say at max 5 weeks before the reveal, and that's another misconception that a lot of people have. A lot of people thought I knew for a long ass time. I did not know. Like, I knew for a very short period of time. There are people who knew way before I knew.
And you, after you spoke to, you were like, you need to let people know.
Yeah.
Like this. And he wanted to draw it out with this drama. And you didn't really know this person for real.
No, I did not know him at all. This is somebody who helped me to raise the money I needed to finish school. So that's where my loyalty in the situation was coming from. And I'm supporting him because I'm like, yeah, like, you know, and I'm definitely not going to participate in outing somebody. I immediately encouraged him to come forward. I said, no sap apology. He said, paper magazine shoot. I said, all right, whatever.
Okay,
hey,
so
your life, not mine. I'm living my own life. At the time, my father had 2 massive strokes, and like it was so much happening in my own life that was just like the least of my concerns. I actually remember I was going, like when he told me, I was on the bus on the way back home to Baltimore to handle some family business. I'll say that much. So it was a lot happening for me. So it wasn't central in my life. I just was like passively helping him. The reveal happens. For the first like 15 minutes of him revealing his identity, people were gagging. People were like, oh, yeah, da, da, da. Those tweets went down almost immediately. And hell cracked open. And people were dragging him for filth. And you know what he did? He deleted them accounts, and he deleted his presence, and he disappeared. Guess who did not disappear? Me.
You.
So it was open season for me. I immediately, though, I jumped on a live, like, and I was on live, and I was just talking to a bunch of black. Yeah.
Okay.
I forget the name of the app. It used to be this app you can go live on Twitter with, but like, I jumped on a live, me and a bunch of black women. They're like holding me accountable. They like, you shouldn't have did this. I'm like, yeah, he told me that he was like, bi. I didn't want to out him. I'm like breaking the whole thing down. I'm listening to the black women who were harmed by this, obviously. And like, a lot of them were like, okay, cool. Like you are taking accountability. But so many people, like, that was brought up for years. And mind you, this is like almost 8 years ago. And I don't give a fuck about it now. But like that was like a really big stain on my online presence. But like, frankly, I think a lot of people struggle to believe or understand that I was manipulated just like everybody else.
Right.
And the reason why I had mentioned earlier that like he said he didn't receive donations from like the account, and this really like this is when I really realized like, oh shit, I was just like manipulated. One of my close friends in real life, like who I went to college with, texts me and is like, and you need to tell him he needs to send me back the $20 I sent him for a donation.
Oh my God.
And that shit was so embarrassing to me because I realized like, wow, this nigga just played me. He played in my whole face. And here I am taking the brunt because he tucked his tail and ran. And I had to sit and face that for years.
Like his proxy.
Yeah. And I don't think by any stretch of the imagination that I think if I could go back in time, I would have handled that situation completely differently.
Right.
In fact, that is one of the situations that taught me, like, sometimes you do have to have, like, some strong internet boundaries. Like, and I felt like I owed him because of, like, how he supported me, like, in finishing out school. And that just, like, bit me in the ass.
Right.
And, yeah, I mean.
Interesting. The thing that's coming up for me, which I guess you can speak to, is it brings up parasocial relationships.
Yeah.
And you might mention boundaries. And I'm also thinking of like, what does accountability look like for someone that you don't even know? Like you just met him.
Yeah.
And actually you never met him.
No.
You just found out who he really was a couple weeks prior. And this random person that, boosted your GoFundMe and, had a valuable moment in your life that helped you out tangibly.
Yeah.
You didn't know him from a can of paint.
I did not.
You didn't know her from a can. You thought it was a her from a can of paint. And then you done found out in real time it's a him and all. And he dumped this story on you. And then you're telling him you need to tell people this. And then he stalls it out for a huge magazine.
Yeah.
What is the line? Like, yes, boundaries, right? And handling it differently. And what's also the line of like, y'all, I don't know this person. Just like y'all,
It was like such a like harmful experience like that. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, it's very few things that I look back and say like that actually changed my life a lot. Like, cause it really hurt me.
Yeah.
Like that really hurt to see so many people like have such strong, and it still happens to this day, but that was my first real experience with like people having these very strong negative feelings about me.
Right.
And a lot of people felt very vindicated in like their hatred of me, which they already had. And that was just like used to it was weaponized against me for so long. But that's just cancellation numero uno.
Yeah.
What? The second great cancellation. Oh my God.
Are you trying to go in chronological?
I am. So I would say the second great cancellation came when I said the controversial words that a lot of people wish never left my mouth, which is that people pleasing is a manipulative behavior. Okay. We jumping forward some years now. Okay.
I will never forget that.
Let me say this. Somebody has said, and I still laugh at this. I cackle at this to this day. And this person is one of a couple people who try to say this about me, and they like really try to gag. They're like, oh, like Shahem rebranded as a therapist. I'm like, I graduated.
Rebranded? If you rebranded with a whole degree and a career, like that's a rebrand for real.
I graduated and got in my career field. That's what that's called. Like in the normal world, that's what we call that. We don't call that like rebranding.
I think you should start saying that. Yeah. 4 years ago I rebranded with my degree.
Yeah. It just really speaks to, again, like the troubles of growing up on the internet. Like a lot of people, like it's so accusatory. Like even when you are doing human shit, like people accuse you of rebranding or doing something with the intentions of like building an audience when I'm just simply living. Like even the GoFundMe for the car accident that I was in, even though it had pictures of my car totaled, they were like, this is a scam. And I said, exactly what proof do you have that it's a scam?
They associated that with Emo Black Thought scam.
Yeah. Well, no, that was separate. Oh. They just said it was a scam. That's it. That's all they said. Like they didn't even attach those two things. They just said I was a scammer. I mean, I've heard so many rumors about me on the internet. Some that are because of the Emo Black Thought thing. A rumor that somebody tried to circulate is that I tortured Black women in my basement.
Shut up.
I live on the second floor apartment in Brooklyn. I don't even have a basement.
I don't even have a basement. You know how much money you need to get an apartment in Brooklyn with a basement?
I said, I don't even have a basement. I don't,
those are the generational homes.
But just people be saying silly shit. But when I said years later, after I became a therapist and I was public about it, I was like, yeah, like people pleasing is a manipulative behavior. You know what they said? They said that I was a fake therapist. Like people were trying to bring up the Emo Black Thought situation several times. Which is like, I don't really care if you bring it up because it's like, I'm not going to apologize for being manipulated. Like,
right.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what to tell you. But like, because all of us are susceptible to that. And I think that's another thing too.
To be manipulated?
All of us can be manipulated.
Well, that person manipulated hundreds of thousands of people.
Yes, but they thought that I was above it for some reason.
Okay.
And that and I mean, I'm definitely open to whatever response people have because, you know, I'm willing to listen to people about it. But like a lot of people just like, they didn't think it was possible. I had to be nefarious for some reason. Right. And even though I too was like manipulated by this person, like I was somebody who was perpetrating. And I know like a lot of Black women, and this is me taking accountability when it was leading up to it, like they felt like I was like really defensive about his identity because I was like, this is somebody who helped me. And this is where I went wrong because I'm like putting my neck on the line for this nigga for real. And yeah, like I was like, yo, like you gotta wait until he talks about who he is. Like, cause a lot of people had questions and like I know a lot of people felt like silenced by me or whatever. And I think that's valid. Like, and it was,
I guess I could see that if it coming off like, oh, you're gonna gag when you see who it is. Yeah. Or like it coming off as something that you knew the entire time.
Yeah, I get it.
And then,
I definitely I fucked up. I fucked up. And it is what it is. I think, you know, people are allowed to, and I've said this from the very beginning. I will say this much. I said, people are allowed to, like, if you don't want to support me, you don't have to support me. If you want to, you can. Like, I can only continue to live. Like, I can't, like, and this is another thing. I think a lot of people, I'm going to say unalive because I don't know what we're allowed to say. Some people want you to unalive yourself when you make mistakes.
Well, they tell you that, literally.
Yeah, they do. And it's like, I can't just, like, unalive myself, like, just because you don't want me, like, because you're mad at me. That's like, crazy. I have to live. And I grew from this situation. But fast forward to the me saying that people-pleasing is manipulative. One thing that also happens with me when I say things that people disagree with is that I become all types of uneducated in the years of work, the 6 years I went to school, and the 3 years of like practice to get like I've been practicing for 5 years, mind you, but like the 3 years, like post grad when this was all said, like people just like lost it. Like I was like, they said that my education, like that I was a fake therapist, that I wasn't considering that people pleasing is a trauma response. And even when I said like narcissism is a trauma response, like lying can be a trauma response. It doesn't make those things any less manipulative. Like, and it's not to say that, like, and I even clarify, like, I don't think like that people pleasers, people who perform people pleasing are inherently manipulative. I think the behavior is.
It is.
You're being dishonest about your needs. You're being dishonest about what you want. You're not giving people the opportunity to show up to a relationship authentically. The kicker is, and this is the kicker, I am not the first, second, third, 85th person to say this. Like, this is just like very Googleable information, right?
I had seen that. To clarify, I had seen that take before you even ever said it. It would, and
somebody asked me about it because they saw somebody else say it. And I was like, oh yeah, no,
and
that's
it
true.
was received well when that.
Yes,
it was received differently when the other certain other people had said it.
Yes, and that's, you know, I'm sure you can relate to this. Like people, people don't even have a problem with the message. It's just really the messenger. Because like what I'm saying is not even revolutionary. In fact, I would argue like none of the shit I say is revolutionary. Like there are a few things that I think like I have contributed to like the mental health space for real, or the social media space where I push the needle. But like there are not many things that I've come up with. Like it's just things that I've learned. Like even when I said that calling your son the man of the house is like emotional incest, I got told that I was like a fake therapist because emotional incest is a real thing.
I remember that too.
You can literally Google it. Like it exists.
You know,
like
people can't Google. They just know how to go on Twitter and TikTok.
They be confusing me. I say all of this to say like, yeah, it's been a few times that I've met the blade of social media where they feel like I am unworthy. And yeah, I could get into a million more stories, but the main one I think that cemented all of the other ones is like the first one, which was Emo Black Thought.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know all of that.
Really?
Now, not to that detail. See, I'm getting in real time with y'all. I am, which is kind of.
Does it change how you feel about me?
No.
Oh.
I do think y'all gonna gag. Cause like I can literally see in my mind's eye, y'all gonna gag me, find out who it is, and people being like, "Nigga, so you knew the whole misstep."
They ate me up.
But I could see you being like, "It's a gag." Like, yeah,
I get it.
Yeah,
yeah.
I could see that. And
I'll take my L. I will. Yeah.
That was also 8 years ago. Like, what are we? I think it's really moot to be like.
Not many people bring it up anymore, though.
Right.
Like,
but it cements kind of who you were, who you are, your presence online, and parasocial relationships, and the way that people. I think when you were talking about he just removed himself online, and then you became the proxy.
Yeah.
I think that happens a lot.
Yeah.
And whether or not you be like should not have said, or like y'all gonna gag, or like we'll listen to his story, right? Doesn't make you the proxy for what he did. But if people turned you into that because they wanted to be mad, and some people just sometimes need to be mad at something or someone.
I do believe there's a certain degree of accountability that I take for it. Like I own that. Like I don't think I handled the situation as best as I could. And frankly, I wish I handled it differently. But also I was like a fucking like 23-year-old like who just was getting out the fucking hood, trying to make $1 out of fucking 15 cents. This person helped me, and like I was coming from a vulnerable space, and I'm not used to getting a lot of help. And frankly, like I know now that everybody who helps you out is not they not your ally. Everybody who does is not. But like it's a lesson that I needed to learn.
Did you feel like you owed him?
I did. Especially my younger mind. I thought that I owed him. Yeah. And I own that.
Well, yes, and also this ain't a therapy session. I'm not the therapist, but I'm like, if you're,
I'm not either.
There's no therapist at this table. If you're at like a spot where you feel like, oh, I owe this like that.
That's probably
you the one with the degree, but my mind is like you probably feeling like some type of like, well, they did this for me. And I've had people with accounts who've helped me with stuff leverage their
I know.
leverage their help.
Oh, I know.
Oh, because I told you
trying to get you to stop being friends with you.
Yes. Talking about I helped you that one time. Well, I just have a lot of connections. So
mind you, we're
if
in
you,
real life
I was
friends.
like, whoa,
Child,
I ain't even met you. I'm touched. I break bread with this person.
But yeah.
Anyways, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Being canceled. That people pleasing one though, let me say, I'll say it. You don't have to say it. Y'all was wilding. It had to have been people who never stepped foot in a therapist's office, because therapists will tell. My therapist done told me, your triggers are your responsibility.
They are. Yeah.
When they are, that hit me though. I felt triggered, but I said,
but can I say
what?
A lot of people since that moment have come to me and say, you have completely shifted the way that I view people pleasing, and you changed my life with that one post. So y'all can hate me, but so long as I made the impact that I was desiring to, I don't give a fuck.
It was important to.
Yeah.
It was an important reflection, and it was, besides the people mad, there were so many people who were like, as someone who chronically people pleases or had before, I had to face the fact that I was trying to manipulate the outcome, and it didn't change the validity of the trauma it came from. Yeah. But if I'm trying to do better, amen. That's what it is. And sometimes people don't like the messenger, and you could just say that. I think if people just said that more, I'd respect it. I don't want to hear you say that. Period. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So our next segment
is the Uncultured of the Week.
Oh my God, yes. Who is your Uncultured of the Week?
Not that there was anyone in this particular week, but I just want to talk shit and trash Aubrey Graham.
Yeah.
Oh, are we double teaming him?
No, I have my own, but I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's been so uncultured for a while. And let me tell you, when my first inkling of him being uncultured started is when, why are you texting a 15, 14-year-old talking about I miss you so much, and she talking to you about boys?
We friends. You are a grown ass man.
I said, oh, start the documentary now.
Hashtag surviving Aubrey Graham coming soon. Coming to a theater near
hello.
You.
And can you cease and desist this right now? No, because Millie Bobby Brown, the one who did the interview. I'm just saying her words, baby. That is crazy. He.
It was God plan to show you the liar. Okay, shouts out to Kendrick Lamar.
Doom, 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 doom. Since then, I said, oh, he wilded, and I just saw it was, and then he corny. I also dated a Scorpio.
He be like this. You know, the duckless. You are 46. Grow up.
Right. Are we perpetuating problematic things right now?
Probably. Nuance. Nuance.
Most of the things can be true. When it comes to you, I'll do it. No, yeah. And it really solidified when I dated a light-skinned tall man from Toronto who loved Drake. Sorry.
This might be a little biased, but that's okay.
It's very biased. But I said, oh, he probably act just like this. And he was Scorpio. It was light-skinned Scorpio man from Toronto who loved Drake. And I said,
girl, that's a demon.
He was also Jamaican, 6'10", and played basketball.
You was dealing with demons. You can't blame nobody for playing with witchcraft, baby.
I was. And I said, and this is who Drake probably comes from and acts like. So I just know, I feel like I had a personal experience from the city.
You described a demon. Oh, Lord, get it away from me.
That's a whole other story. So I was like, that, and I know how your people act. Light-skinned Scorpio Toronto man. Trash.
Jamaican, too. Sorry to everybody Jamaican.
No, not sorry.
Big up Jamaica, but baby,
that
ain't, those combinations shouldn't go together.
Y'all know how you
It's like a Jamaican and Nigerian. You can't put those two continents in the same space. They don't connect.
Mesh. They don't.
That's unethical.
They share ancestors for sure. That's Jamaicans and Nigerians definitely come from the same tribe.
Okay. My Uncultured of the Week, and I know y'all knew this was gonna come eventually. Amy Schumer. I cannot stand Amy Schumer.
Say it.
That Zionist, oh my God, that Zionist shit that you pulled in the kitchen the other day. Don't you ever do that shit again. I really cannot stand Amy Schumer. I think she is the epitome of mediocrity. And I believe that she is beyond redemption. And frankly, I don't even have to say very too much. She speaks on her own for how awful of a person she is. really posting racist posts, like standing on it, doubling, tripling down. It's forever up and stuck with me and you, Amy. You don't even know who I am, and that's cool. I'll keep this beef one-sided. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
I'm okay with
It's a parasocial beef.
It's a nuance. I keep this beef one-sided, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, similar to what y'all be doing to me. It's okay.
Ooh.
I got my own.
Ooh.
Okay.
Wow, that was a good one.
Yeah. Okay, so our last segment is going to be Cancel Court, where we argue for 1 minute who we think or what we think should be uncanceled, okay?
I didn't think about this again.
Come on.
No, because I can't keep up. I can't. I only know.
You
do the timer again, because
okay.
I'm Googling what's been canceled.
Not you Googling what's been canceled. I already got mine. Wait, ooh. I think I don't got mine no more. Damn, ADHD, y'all. Be whooping my behind.
I don't think I got mine. I think I have. What was that?
Christina is going to go first, and your time starts now.
Lovecraft Country, the show.
Oh, agreed.
I still think about that. I said, bring it back. Please bring it back. That would, please. I don't know who I need to talk to. I don't know who I need to talk to get water bottles at la Fire Festival. We could talk.
It was so good.
It was such a good show. And we could just recast. We could find somebody who looks civil rights fine. We could find somebody else again. That's not an issue. We got a couple people on the line. And they coming out with new ones.
Oh.
Every day. Every day. That show was so lovely, so beautiful. It showed the Black experience, Black American history in such a very sci-fi, fantastical way. It had elements of hoodoo, elements of history, elements of realness, and not in a way that was like just trauma all the time. It was so fucking beautiful, and the map that she posted for season 2,
yeah,
and we never gonna be able to see what that was gonna look like.
That's fair.
Please bring Lovecraft Country back, please.
Okay, that's your time, Suge. You ate that.
Thank you.
I think we should bring it back. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to start my timer now. Y'all, it's time to uncancel Ice Spice. Listen, hear me.
Whoa.
Hear me now.
Whoa.
I understand how you feel, but you cannot sit up here and tell me that Deli does not hit. Y'all say that she does the same thing over and over and over. I disagree. Listen to her projects. She has a diverse project. Listen to her project. My sister, she do be coming. I think she be having cute bops. Like, and what's wrong with a cute bop? Why does everybody have to be like as lyrical as Kendrick Lamar or Adochi? You know, everybody can't. You know, we need to have our little girly
Sweetie.
bops on the side too. I love Sweetie. Okay, I think it's space in this hip hop space for people like Ice Spice, and I don't think she's as problematic as people have painted her. Although I do think she has done problematic things. Nuance. Let's wake that back up.
That's
okay?
her time. That was given the why does everyone have to be lyrical was given beautiful gowns. You said, why does everyone have to be lyrical? Again, I went to the street and I bought. And I went to the deli and I flopped.
Sometimes I don't want to stretch my brain that much. And
that's right.
That.
I agree with that. I do think it was crazy that she went to the steakhouse and didn't bring Cleo Trabanet. Like, that was wild.
Is crazy. First off, I love Cleo. Shouts out to
Cleo. Right. I said, oh my God.
Y'all need to sit down and work that out.
To the steakhouse, she had to go get McDonald's and McDonald's canceled.
Ice, you did Cleo wrong. You need to go right that wrong.
You should bring her a steak.
Bring her a steak and mashed potatoes.
Not banquet. Not spinach. Banquet. Not nigga, this is banquet. Salisbury steak.
You need to bring my sister a plate.
Hello.
Work that out.
Hot.
Okay? Yeah.
Not microwave.
And apologize to Doechii.
What's she doing to
Doechii? Her text about Doechii. I love you down, but I ain't defending you against that one. She was making fun of the Booty Drop song.
Ice Spice was making fun of songs.
Oh.
So, no.
And that's our podcast.
No.
Bye, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Beautiful game. Anyways.
Yeah.
Follow us on the socials, uncancel.culture.
Please.
Thank y'all for coming on this journey with us.
I promise I'm not colorist, and I'm just joking most of it.
Well, you are light-skinned.
I am a light-skinned person, so it is hard for me to beat those allegations. But
we didn't talk about that. We have so many cancel code
We have
stories.
so many
It'll come up.
moments.
It'll come up in multiple episodes.
We have more time, y'all. Thanks
Way
for
more
joining us
time.
on this journey.
Thank you so much.
Bye,
Peace.
y'all.